this channel, I'm trying to create what I wanted or what I needed to just learn how to do non-duality and live an amazing life at the same time. What do I recommend? What do I actually do? People always want to know what other people are doing. I do see the ultimate pursuit of meditation is getting really precise and good at accessing this non-dual shift in consciousness. It's possible to see through this illusion. In advanced meditation, we realize that this is just the way that it sometimes seems like it is, when in reality, we can have this experience without the separation, without divide. We're much more connected to everything, and everything is a lot more effortless than it usually seems to be. This whole school of thinking or realization, it's got a lot of different names, but normally it falls under the bracket of non-duality. In some schools or systems of meditation, there is very much the approach that we can just tune in or identify this shift between the duality and the non-duality and take non-dual meditation as our path and practice of meditation. In these models, there's still room for the dualistic meditation too, because that can really give way to non-duality. We can be meditating in a dualistic way and the boundaries dissolve. And that's very much how I practice meditation. It really is a useful foundation to have a more present, aware and calm, less chaotic mind. So where are you going to go? How are you going to learn about non-duality? How did I do it? How have I learned about it, and how do I practice it? There's some very formlessly spiritual approaches. I'm thinking in the likes of Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now, Advaita Vedanta. That's obviously another very large school, and it's produced some very realized practitioners. And I didn't feel like I was making much progress the way that I was learning it. Whereas with Tibetan Buddhism, I feel like I have a very clear understanding, and I feel like I have made a lot of progress. Why my practice works and how to practice, it all sits there very comfortably. So there's no real doubts which can get in the way of my practice. So my suggestions for learning non-dual meditation is to go through Tibetan Buddhism. That being said, in my experience, the path hasn't always been swift. There definitely seems to be a lot of other ideas, perhaps beliefs, intermingled with historical context of Tibetan Buddhism. If you're going to start learning Tibetan Buddhism, there is a bit of an upfront cost. You have to learn a lot of words which are specifically Tibetan. So there's a bit of jargon to get your head around. There's also a lot of preliminary practices. I do think there's tremendous value in all the different pieces of Tibetan Buddhism if you approach the path very traditionally. All these elements don't necessarily have anything to do with non-dual meditation. There's a reason why all those elements are there, but you don't technically need to know any of that to just get precise on non-duality, because once you get to the end of some of their teachings on meditation, there's just abundant resources on non-dual meditation. Really open your mind to how you can meditate more effectively. Like, it's genuinely amazing. It's crazy. So what are the two premier non-dual meditation techniques or approaches or teachings coming through Tibetan Buddhism? Mahamudra and Dzogchen. Technically, to practice Dzogchen, you just practice non-duality, but unless you can access non-duality through an instruction from a Dzogchen master, then it's fairly irrelevant, because you can say that you're practicing Dzogchen, but you're not. Unless you're practicing non-duality through the Dzogchen system, you're not actually practicing Dzogchen. You just want to be practicing Dzogchen. Mahamudra, therefore, is very, very useful because it leads you from dualistic meditation, dissolves those barriers into non-duality. So read some books about Mahamudra, Dzogchen, Tibetan Buddhism. What are my recommendations? Mingyur Rinpoche, he's an eminent Tibetan monk / meditation teacher. He has a book called In Love with the World, where he introduces one of the first contemplations of Tibetan Buddhism. Then Mingyur Rinpoche happens to have a YouTube. Go watch his videos just to start getting an idea of how all these ideas work together. Mingyur Rinpoche does teach Mahamudra and Dzogchen, and the more you study with him and learn with him, the more you'll naturally find some really great teachings out there. And then the other Tibetan Buddhist recommendation I would make would be to read something by Namkhai Norbu. And he has many books that you can read which will conceptually set up Dzogchen. There's just so much good stuff in Tibetan Buddhism, Mahamudra and Dzogchen on how to meditate non-dualistically that you just got to start out. But there's so many things to get through. Just take your time, go easy and enjoy it. The more you take your time and set up all those beginning understandings, those beginning structures of thought of how this all unfolds, the easier it will be to confidently sit in a place where you can just flick the non-dual switch as much as you like. Those are my recommendations. What am I practicing? I'm primarily practicing Dzogchen teachings these days, but I've needed a lot of understanding to get me there. And then I'm also inspired by Advaita Vedanta and many modern day contemporary spiritual teachers too. Now I kind of sit with my own understanding of how this works, and I use what I think is most useful for me. The content we're creating here with me, hopefully this will be the most direct path anyone can take. I genuinely envision that. I hope that we make this the most accessible place for non-dual teachings possible, and living a contemplative, reflective, loving life. Hopefully that just becomes mainstream until we're all in this peaceful utopia. Best wishes on your practice. Yeah, may we find the structures we need. May we find the clarity we need. Feeling confident in our practice of non-duality. Maybe we'll come to know wonderful ways of being. There is a beautiful blackbird just sitting out there. It's absolutely just a really beautiful blackbird. It's gone now.